So the product spotlight this week is going to be from All Nutrient. It's one of our color brands. It's a certified organic based color line. They have a permanent color, they have a demi-permanent color line. They have full range of colors available as well. In particular, the product spotlight that we're going to talk about from All Nutrient this week is going to be on a very specific shade of color, which is 10CS. It's a new shade of color that they have launched in the Slate series. For those of you that are not familiar, the Slate series has a blue olive base. It's very ashy. And up until now, they've only had level 2 CS, level 4 CS, level 6 CS, and level 8 CS. So now with the addition of level 10, it is opening up a lot of creative opportunities when it comes to toning, especially with handling extremely brassy results that are trying to be corrected. It has extremely fun creative applications. It's going to be making platinum blondes and the platinum cards a lot more simplified to be able to achieve those kind of looks. And for gray coverage, for people who want to either grow their natural gray out, or their unpigmented hair, or they want to remain unpigmented, but they want to look as natural as possible. This also opens up a lot of creative opportunity for that as well too. The Slate series has been what do you call it? Like a labor of love for us over the years.
It has been a labor of love. It is. I think that you have to understand All Nutrient in its purest form. First off, it's a certified organic based color. It has a micropigmentation system that is second to none. The dye load that is in this color is huge. So this was, I don't remember how many years ago, but there were years ago when they first launched the CS line, the Cool Slate. Like Eddie said, it's a blue violet, a blue olive. Okay, so we get the tubes, and it's right around back then. It was still Midwest show. We get the tubes, and the tubes aren't even. They're written on in Sharpie. They didn't even have the labels on them yet, and they're like, "You guys got to use these. You got to try them." Tony from All Nutrient was there, who is just as insane as we are about hair color, and so we got a double processed blonde, and we bring her back down. She's all shampooed out. She was like a nice level 10, clear level 10.
The model that we had, we double processed her.
Yeah, we double processed her. So Tony's like, "Oh, here, we'll just put 8 CS on her. Level 8. Now
Cool Slate.
Remember this? Yeah, Cool Slate." So we mix it up, we put it on her. Now and this was back when it was still at McCormick Place, right? We're down in the classroom.
Yep. Now
we put it on her.
What we didn't realize is blue olive means blue green.
Yes.
Which means teal.
So we put it on her, and literally 8 minutes into the processing time, I dab a little off, and I'm like, "Eddie, come here." And literally, she was teal. So we've got to hustle her from the classroom down 2 escalators to the shampoo bowls, which were back behind where the model rooms are. I mean, it was a good 8-minute walk, and I'm a gimp, and so it's a lot longer than that. So we're going up the escalator, and as we're going up the escalator, I'm standing behind her, and I'm looking at this hair as it's going from teal now, because the blue is really taking over, to Smurf blue. And I'm like, "Oh my goodness." We get her back to the shampoo bowl. We shampoo her off. If anybody does fantasy colors, it was the perfect fantasy royal blue. That's how much dye stuff's in this color. We are just, and you and I looked at each other, and we're like, "We can't bleach this out again," because we're like, "Okay, well, we're featuring a fantasy color today," And that's just a little backstory about the CSs, but
Yeah,
how
3 years
strong the dye.
later, when it finally washed out, it was the perfect blonde.
But now transversely with 10CS, when you sent me the 10CS
Well, before 10CS though. So
before
that
10CS, I was taking 8CS, and I was doing like 5-to-1 dilutions with clear, with the 0 stroke 0 0, and
yeah.
with 10-20, sometimes even 30 volume for toning, and still with all that dye stuffs, it was amazing toning. So now what they did is they took 10, and it is absolutely beautiful straight out of the tube. It is also beautiful. You can dilute it a little bit. I did that with the first time I used it because I have PTSD from
Well, that's why I was bringing it up because that's all we've been doing is diluting HCS all this time. And
right.
you've been doing 5-to-1 ratios. I do 10-to-1 ratios dilutions.
Yeah. Once again, but the dilution also depends, guys, on how the porosity of the hair
Yeah,
and its
sure.
ability to take and let go. And if you've ever been to our toning class, you'll learn that with toning, however long you leave it on, for every minute, that's a shampoo. So if you leave a toner on for 3 minutes, you'll get a beautiful blonde for 3 shampoos. Someone along the line, we all lost our way with this. But toning is an art. We do have a class for it. That's for later on. We'll get into that. But for right now, also the cool part about with All Nutrient is not only does 10CS come in its permanent color line, where you can use it with 10, 20, 25, 30, 40. They also comes in the Keratin line, which is their ammonia-free liquid color. And the spreadability and the toning is fantastic. You can also use it with their Demi developer or Demi Plus developer. Now you can ask me the question about the blue developers.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, all right. So it made sense because there was users over there. Over here, we were talking about this earlier. So with all nutrient, one of the unique things about it is the permanent color, the same tube of color, you mix it with 10, 20, 25, 30, 40 volume, it becomes permanent color. They have an additional developer called CPL, color processing lotion. That the technology in all nutrient, because it's got half the ammonia and double the dye load, that's that micro protein system, that micro pigmentation system. This the easiest way to think about it is half the ammonia, double the dye load. Every single shade of color has the ability to cover gray. You don't need to mix it with the N series. Okay. So if you take the CPL, the color processing lotion, and you mix that with the same tube of color that you just made it permanent, will become a demi-permanent in cream form. So that is one of a very unique thing about the all nutrient color. Now, they've recently came up with CPL Blue, 10 volume blue based and 40 volume blue based developer as well. So that has been in an effort to help further reduce brassiness and warmth during the coloring process. It has been absolutely phenomenal, creatively speaking. Technically speaking as well too, it's alleviated a lot of pain and suffering in having to tone and deal with unwanted warmth when highlighting, when lifting. So here is the things that I was doing, like a quick fire round with John. I was kind of discussing it with him. I'm like, okay, 10CS, now we have it. Awesome. Can you still use it as a permanent color with the cream 10, 20, 30, 40 volume developer? And you said,
Yeah, sure you can. And actually, what then you're doing is you're creating a blue olive base. Okay, so you're doing 3 parts blue to 1 part olive. So what would that? That'd be a BBBO base. And olive, olive is more of
green, teal.
a green teal.
Yep.
So actually, that's giving you way more control for your clients that always, they always come back and go, it was beautiful for the first week and then it went orange. You know, it helps really stamp down on a lot of that warmth. I use the well, we have a lightning class. We have a lightning class that everybody should come to, where we really get into the the blues and the lighteners and things you can do. All I'm going to say is those blue developers have changed the game for me as far as highlighting, as far as high lifts, and also with my clients that this is my favorite thing in the world, and I still remember it from back in the day. You know, you could put a straight ash on some clients. You do their grade touch up. They come back in 4 weeks for their 3 to 4 weeks for their touch up, and they're like, "I still see red." You know, it's red. No, the color. There's many reasons why it got a little warm, but so with this, with the blue developers, you're actually just stamping down on that more. And as we know, it's not really red. It's they're seeing warmth, and but coupled with the 10CS and the blue developer, it is you can make some really beautiful platinum blondes, which will make your life so much easier, because then also you're kind of pre-toning, or if you're doing it with a toner, you're adding it to the toner, you're just putting that much more longevity into the toner. Because what are most toners based? They're usually either what? Blue, violet, or a
green.
combination thereof. Or
Yeah.
green, right?
Yeah.
We got to
when you
go ahead.
go ahead.
I was gonna say we gotta call New Hampshire and talk to them about making a green based a green based toner.
I mean, that's practically the Slate series, though. It
Right.
really practically is the Slate series, because that
It
blue
is.
olive base really, technically it's teal, but it really, really, really does come out ashy. I mean, it practically is green to begin with. Now, when you're mixing it with CPL developer, that's still keeping it in a cream form as a toner.
Right.
And the benefit of using a cream based toner versus a liquid based toner, in some cases, what's going to happen is you're going to get more deposit, which could equal more longevity, or you're going to concentrate more on depth, more on richness. And in some scenarios where you're really trying to knock out that warmth, having that option to be able to use it as a cream, getting more opacity out of your toner would be very, very beneficial. Conversely, if that's not an issue and you're really just going for more vibrancy, or you're really just trying to, you lifted them and you lightened them to that perfect level, you just want to retain that brightness, but you want to knock out some of that warmth and keep that beautiful tone and within that brightness, that's where the demi-glaze comes in. So having it available 10CS and Keratint is absolutely phenomenal. And being able to mix that with the demi developer is so simple now, because you don't necessarily have to dilute it like how we used to always recommend to dilute the 8CS, the level 8.
Right.
Level 8 has more pigmentation in it than level 10 does. With that said, you were mentioning earlier you can still dilute 10CS, and that's fine. It's always going to be subject to porosity. You always want to pay attention to the condition of that hair after you've just exposed that cuticle from lightening. Okay? Lightening and bleaching, there is a difference. We have an entire class that you can attend on highlighting. Like you were mentioning, it's a hands-on class. We discussed the differences between lighteners and bleaches. In the lifting action, there is a completely different end result that's getting achieved, and there's so many variables involved in that. The toning, we have a toning mastery program that we really discuss all the different variables involved when it comes to toning, because it is complicated. It gets complicated really, really quickly, depending on what you're trying to do. It could be simplified. It really could be simplified. And I'll give you a little preview. It's simply this: texture, density, porosity. Those are your three governing factors. That's the only constant that you have. Everything else in hair color becomes variable. Variable in the result you're trying to achieve, variable in the type of the hair that you're working with, variable in the formula that you're intending to mix to try to achieve the result that you're going for. But those three constants, texture, density, and porosity, is always going to rule and dictate what you can and cannot do. And if you fight that, that's where problems always occur, and that's where you always run into issues. So, the Demi developer, the Demi Plus developer, when would you recommend to use the Demi versus the Demi Plus? Because for those that are not aware, Demi developer is 1.6%. Demi Plus developer is 3%. It's a little bit more intense. So you're going to get a little bit more movement. You're going to get a little bit more lift. Everybody always makes the mistake of asking what volume is that. The problem with asking what volume is that is there is no ammonia in keratin. It's ammonia free. So saying arbitrarily, technically speaking, 1.6% could be 5 volume and 3% could be 10 volume. Yeah, if you're trying to activate lift, but when you're dealing with liquid demi-glaze color, you're not dealing with activating ammonia. You're not trying to swell the cuticle. The peroxide's doing all the heavy lifting. And if the peroxide's doing the heavy lifting itself, it's really going to be determined more by the percentage strength of that hydrogen peroxide you're using, not the volume that is being created with ammonia for oxidation purposes.
Right, 100%. With that is it, you're always dealing with the arc of alkalinity, because most hair color starts alkaline and will do that full arc. My hand went over this. Look at that over the screen. You can't even see it. Hey, no, but
It's too early.
No, I've we're in the middle of Snowmageddon here in Illinois, so I was up early. But anyway, you're always dealing with that the arc of alkalinity, and really without ammonia in it, then you're 100% correct, where you have the developers really doing a lot of most of the lifting, and besides oxidizing the color, it's also helping penetrate into the hair shaft. You're right. You are correct.
So then, is there an instance where the Demi Plus developer would be better than the Demi developer?
I think that once again, it's going to depend on the porosity of the hair. If you, like you and I were talking about that, transitioning that gray-haired client, really transitioning them out of color, or really using it to blend gray. If it's that hard glassy gray and you don't want that matte coverage, then you're going to want that Demi Plus, so you have a little more alkalinity. You get a little more penetration into the hair shaft. Yes.
Otherwise, if you just need to tone, just go with the Demi developer and
Yep.
load it up. You're going to get more deposit. You're going to get more pigment loaded in there, and it's going to knock out that unwanted color. So it's going to work out way better.